And welcome back. Since the pandemic began, there have been many questions regarding the potential effects of the virus and how new moms and babies react to it. And just as we're wrapping up World Breastfeeding Week, we're joined by lactation specialist Kimberly Benedict from Touro Infirmary. Welcome, and I understand that there are a lot of CDC guidelines, Kimberly, behind breastfeeding. First of all, kind of tell us where we stand with some of those guidelines, then we'll get into some of those questions that many people may have.
Sure. So just breastfeeding in general, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends breastfeeding exclusively for the first 6 months of life, and then continuing to breastfeed from months 6 to 12 and possibly even older. And after 6 months, you're generally adding complementary foods such as baby foods and pureed foods and things like that, but continuing to nurse.
Right. So over time, which again, my two children, my wife breastfed them, and we thought that was important. But over time, the breast milk actually changes for the vitamins that the baby needs as they get older. Is that correct?
That is absolutely right. As the baby grows, the mother produces milk that is specific to that baby's age. Now, sometimes at around, 6 months, 4 to 6 months, most pediatricians recommend maybe some iron supplements, and sometimes that's through foods and sometimes it's through iron drops. And then shortly after the baby's birth, most pediatricians recommend vitamin D supplements in the form of drops. And if you have more information if you need more information about that, you can certainly talk to your pediatrician.
So let's talk about COVID-19 and let's talk about breastfeeding and babies. First of all, some people have asked me, if somebody has COVID-19 and they don't know it, if they're breastfeeding, can the baby get COVID-19 through breast milk?
Typically, the limited data available suggests that COVID-19 is not in breast milk or can't be transmitted to the baby through the mother's milk. On the contrary, most viruses such as that, the mother's body makes antibodies to, so often it protects the baby against the illness.
So if you're in the middle of breastfeeding and suddenly you come down with symptoms and you get tested and you're positive, what do you do at that point? I mean, the baby's relying on the milk, you're relying on the baby, taking that milk. What do you do in that case?
Typically, it's just take precautions such as wearing a face covering while nursing the baby or handling the baby, washing your hands frequently, things like that, using hand sanitizer, and just continuing to breastfeed.
Have we had any known cases of newborns actually getting COVID-19? And if so, what is the prognosis with newborns? Because we always think about the younger children, we think about the older population, then we say, the millennials, they're not immune to it, but they don't get that. What about newborn babies? What have we learned actually from newborns?
Right. Typically, as far as I know, most newborns have not contracted the virus through, birth. Many newborns are tested about 24 hours after the birth. And most newborns have not been found to contract the virus. If they do get it, many newborns are having very mild symptoms, and especially if the mother's breastfeeding, that does help protect the baby from the antibodies from the virus through the breast milk.
Well, great information, Kimberly, and hopefully we answered a lot of questions about the newborns, because a lot of people talk about, people who are here now and older people, but newborns maybe get kind of forgotten. So that's great information. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for joining us.